that when we walk to the agency, we pass all these liquor stores, and all they have on the outside were big signs advertising malt liquor, 40-ounce malt liquor. And actually, there was a campaign going on in Detroit at the time to get rid of that. But that became a topic in the group, and so the question was, okay, how can we get that anger, rightfully so, maybe because a lot of times, these reminders were triggers for the individuals who were trying to establish sobriety. And I'm sure they were selling other stuff in the party stores, bread and milk and so forth, but on the outside of your store was that. So anyway, they decided to form a group. They decided that, how can we use this anger and channel it in a socially appropriate way? Well, they decided to form a group, and they wrote a letter. I helped them edit the letter, and they went to the party stores, and they, the letter basically said, we appreciate you being in the community. We appreciate that we can buy our goods for the community, but we also would appreciate if, you would present a different appearance to the outside in terms of what you have in there. That is not just liquor and beer that we're interested in here, but also others. And the response was very positive. And I thought, that was a way to use that anger in a socially appropriate way and to bring about change. Maybe a little bit of change, but for them it was a significant change. And for the clients it was a significant step and accomplishment. However, sometimes anger is expressed differently and it becomes toxic, and it's experienced with a great deal of internal arousal, and often it's expressed either internally or externally with detrimental outcomes to the individual. And sometimes other ways in which anger is maladaptively expressed is often that it's internalized and left in silence. And when we talk about gender role socialization, we find often that this is not uncommon in women when they experience anger, or passive-aggressively, or sometimes transformed to other pathologies like substance abuse, self-cutting, bulimia, and so forth. And, or in some cases, through aggression, verbal, physical aggression with high levels of arousal and hostility. So most of the people that we see in treatment, of course, they have toxic anger. But another thing that, those of you who maybe have looked at is that another problem with anger treatment is that most anger treatment follow the male-dominated model of anger expression, which is through aggression. So that presents a problem in terms of we're looking to develop more gender-sensitive forms of treatment for women. Just included here that some of the maladaptive expression of anger has been associated with domestic violence. I included some of the studies that, the Eckhart study is kind of very interesting in that respect. Workplace violence, road rage, increased risk of hypertension or coronary heart disease, and anger. This sort of toxic anger has been found to be a predictor of coronary heart disease. Other behavioral problems such as substance abuse, self-cutting, bulimia. So it is really a problem not only in terms of the outcomes of outward aggression, even though not all aggression, not all violence is motivated by anger, but a significant amount of it is. But it's also a significant problem in terms of the internal impact, or how when the anger is translated and transformed into other behavioral or emotional problems. The cost of violence, real quick, is significant. As I said before, not all violence and aggression is motivated by anger. And certainly, there's violence and aggression in some sports, and it's not motivated by anger. But in terms of violent behavior, in 2000, in the United States, the total cost of violent acts was over $70 billion, including medical costs and loss of productivity. Globally, over 23 million pounds, English pounds, the cost of domestic violence in the UK. And the International Labour Organization in 2000 indicated that reported increases in workplace assaults, abuse, intimidations, other type of violence in countries around the United States, with Canada, France, Germany, South Africa, New Zealand, Japan. So it's really a universal problem. That other factors impacting on violence, and also important to social, cultural, economic, political oppression, poverty, inequality, feeling disempowered. I think powerlessness, it's really a key issue. And the limited studies that have been done looking at anger in women have all pretty much underscored that powerlessness seems to be a common denominator that often defines the experience and expression of anger in women. But feeling disempowered, feeling marginalized, feeling that really you have no control over the circumstances in your life, it's a significant factor affecting anger and possibly aggression. The benefits of conceptualization for practitioners, is that it helps us, first of all, when we conceptualize a problem accurately, and I find this to be true. It gives me a really deeper understanding of the client's problem. It helps me to tailor my work specifically to that individual, rather than having one size fits all. A more individual-centered approach that is more effective. It certainly helps to create a stronger, more productive relationship with the client if the client feels that he or she has been understood by the social worker, and helps improve outcomes, not only the process but the outcome of therapy. But unfortunately, what happens is that the lack of research has resulted in I should say that a lack in really developing the best way to conceptualize anger, and also a lack of best practices to treat anger problems. And what I've done today here with my conceptual model is to use information that I've gathered from my own practical experience, from my research, as well as looking at other individuals who have done research and other studies, and try to develop a model to conceptualize anger. There's some research behind it, backing it. Some of the research is more theory. I have been able to do some research, but again, the abundance of research is not there, when it comes to anger. The reason that I call this model the path of anger is because, I was thinking about it. I thought anger is, almost like a path you go through that leads from, say, the healthy expression of anger to, as you get further into the path, to the toxic and unhealthy expression of anger. And along that path, we're faced with sort of forks along the road, decision-making times, and depending on the judgment or the attribution that we make at that time is going to lead us one way or the other. And when I look at what is there in terms of the literature and the research on anger, I found out that basically there are 5 themes, general themes, where we can cluster a lot of this information. And so almost like 5 different intersections that we come to. But the first, and I'll talk about this more in detail as we go, the perception of the loss of a valuable object from one person's domain, or the perception of unfair or unjust treatment. That's sort of like a gateway, not just to anger, but to the realm of negative emotions.